Welcome to Feisty Chess. I'm going to start doing these standard/rapid games again. So I've got a game against G. Bello on Lee Chess. He's quite high rated. So let's hope for a good game. I'm white and we're playing e4. Okay, e5. Let's go for the Vienna here. We're listening to Stellar Drone. Okay, I'm going for the Vienna Gambit. D5 is the best response here, and probably the opponent will play it. Yep. Now we take the e-pawn. He takes our e-pawn. And now there's knight f3, there's d3, and there's queen f3. I've played a lot of queen f3. The other one I know pretty well is d3. And this is trappy, so playing a higher rated opponent, maybe I'll get lucky. It's not bad. Don't play stuff that's trappy, but not good if your opponent knows what to do. The trap here is queen h4 check does not end up being very good for black. It's very tempting. And probably G. Bello is thinking about it right now. I think this is called the modern variation of the Vienna Gambit. The Vienna Gambit's not much of a gambit, by the way. If black takes right here, e5 is really crushing, and he might be able to hold on to the pawn, but at great cost. So don't accept the Vienna Gambit. The best move is d5 if someone plays it against you. Okay. The best move black has here is to take the knight. Knight takes c3. And then after recapturing, I think something like c5 to try to take control over d4. Or maybe d4 immediately. That's pretty good, if I recall, by black. So knight takes c3, b takes c3, and then black plays d4. Okay, he's not falling for the trap. But that think was an indication that maybe our opponent is out of their book already. That's good. That's why I play things like the Vienna Gambit instead of the Ruy Lopez. Gotta turn down the Stellar Drone here. He does have queen h4 here, but I don't think that's much better because I have control over e4, so I can play g3, and I think I will. That's dangerous when you don't have control over e4, because then queen e4 check will pick up this rook. Many a king's gambiteer has probably learned that lesson in the early days of playing it. But most king's gambiteers know not to do that. Not to play g3 or allow queen h4 check most of the time. So I think this just lost black a little bit of time. My next move might just be d4, maybe knight f3. Okay. Well, we can develop our bishop and gain some time on his pawn. I think the bishop looks good on that diagonal. I'd like to castle kingside, and having a bishop there would be nice. Black probably wants to play queen a5. That's fine. There's nothing to worry about there. Let's just play knight f3 now. Bishop g4 is what I'm expecting. Okay. This allows me to play d4 with tempo. I don't see a reason not to do that. It's a move I had wanted to get in anyway. So yeah, let's play it. I could prevent bishop g4. Or I could just play queen d3. That rules out bishop f5. I think that's good. Bishop f5 would put a lot of pressure on my my c pawn. That's probably the idea of having the queen there. He could play g6 to try to play bishop g5 anyway. But after I castle, maybe I should just castle first. That gives me knight e1. But that looks pretty pathetic. Castling and then knight g5 might be the way to go about it. I just give up that c pawn. I could play my bishop up. If my rook moves to c1 though, I drop the a2 pawn. Let's just play a move I know I need to play. Okay, he's going to castle first. Yeah, queen d3 does seem to invite g6. What can I do about that? Knight h4 just, he chops the knight. I mean, the only way of defending this again... No, I have rook f2. I do have rook f2. Okay, I'm going to play queen d3 and hopefully induce g6. And then maybe I can go rook f2 and then queen f1 to double up on the f file. Yeah, okay. That's a plan. So if black goes g6, I'm planning rook f2, bishop f here. And I can either go queen e2 or queen f1, give up the pawn. Going for a queen trade instead. Well, I don't want to allow him to develop his knight. Although the knight doesn't look very good on a6 with my pawns lined up here. I got a space advantage. I don't want to be trading too much. Knight. Knight g5? He doesn't have to take. He can just kick it with h6. I should get this bishop out so that I can defend the pawn on d3 if I need to. So my rooks are connected. Yeah. If he wants to trade on d3, I'll gladly get another center pawn, and I've got great control over the center here. Yeah, and now I can just play this rook over to defend. I might think about knight h4 here, or other plans for my knight. I might like to trade off the dark square bishops. Okay. Probably wants to play f6. Yeah, knight h5, and if bishop takes here, I can just take the light square bishop. So maybe now's the time for this. I don't see a lot of promise for my knight anywhere else. So I don't have to incur that pawn structure damage. Although I don't think it would be the end of the world if I did. The two bishops would more than make up for that. But yeah, if bishop takes here, I think I'll plan to play rook takes bishop. Then his other bishop needs to retreat. Because this bishop is more active and doing more damage right now. Okay, he does have that. But now I can... Yeah, I can do... by the same principle, I can force that bishop off the board. And my light square bishop is my good bishop technically, but it's not doing anything here. It's biting on granite. So I'd gladly trade that off for his active bishop. And I can recapture with the knight. I may not. I may want to be doubling my rooks instead. But I think I probably do want to recapture with a knight. As the pieces get traded off, that pawn structure becomes more important. And these pawns could be very weak. I think he needs to take. Well, okay, if he goes back to e6, then maybe my knight comes to g2 and then to f4, and that knight's looking better and better. All right, I'm happy with this so far. I miss these rapid games, these standard longer time control games. Maybe if this bishop gets traded off, I don't have to worry about this d3 pawn. I can swing a rook over to b1 and become more active there. Okay. I could repeat moves. See black's plans. He does want to play f6. Hold on, I might not repeat moves. I'm looking at this. Bishop here, and then if bishop back here, then I can play knight here, which is supported by the rook, and if he takes my rook, I get a free bishop, and then I grab his other bishop for one rook. That looks good for me. Yeah, let's do this. And if he takes my bishop, I'll just grab with the knight, and that knight's headed to f4. Okay. Now let's check this. He doesn't have anything he can do to threaten me with that bishop. And after this, yeah, he's got to move the bishop. He doesn't have any good places to move it, does he? a3, planning a bishop to b2. But I'm covered, and I'm great looking, I think, if I go rook b1 after that. So yeah, let's do this. We repeated once there, but I found something better. Maybe he'll just defend with the bishop, in which case I'll swap it off. It seems like I mean, that's a great knight. But that bishop does have a lot of mobility for him. And then I have the pair of bishops. So maybe I'd go rook to d2 to double up. That might be better than rook b1. He can always just address rook b1 with b6. He may trade. He may grab that knight with his light square bishop. Because long term, that light square bishop is going to be worse than the dark squared one. Because so many of his pawns are on light squares, it's not as mobile. Yeah, this is a tactic known as an in-between move, an intermezzo, a Zwischenzug. The idea is just that I'm not going to make the natural, obvious recapture, but I have an in-between move that improves my position before I recapture. That being knight takes e7, check. A lot of in-between moves with knights taking on e7 with check. That kind of thing. Watch for those. Okay, time is pretty even. I think the position favors white by some, not huge. But he's going to have to give up the bishop pair. That's something. No, he's not. He's not. He can just move that bishop. Bishop a3. Let's see. In that case, is rook b1 or rook d2 better? I can double up on the f-file with rook d2. And I could always play this other rook over to b1 if it's prudent. If I go to... Okay, he took. He took. So let's not waste time. Going for f6. But here I have e6, don't I? That looks really good. The knight could become the pawn could become a weakness. The other option is to just trade, or I suppose I can just double rooks. The more pawns come off the board, the better my bishop pair is going to be. e6, knight b6, and maybe rook b1. I like that idea. If the knight goes to b6, the only other place I could go is b8, and that doesn't look good. Yeah. All right. E6, knight B6, rook B1, and then if the knight wants to move, I get my rook to the 7th, and well, where do I go from there? Well, I've got bishop F4. Okay. Bishop. How about just taking? He's got lots of ways to recapture. I don't think I want to take. I could go rook d to f1, doubling up, and then swap off the rooks. I can't even assure that all the rooks get swapped off. I think I'm going to push. This looks good to me. I think the knight's going to go to b6, and then rook b1 puts that knight in kind of an awkward spot. And he can't keep a rook on b8. He can't... If he wants to keep a rook on b8 so that this pawn's not hanging if the knight should move, I've always got this. And I can get my bishop here at some point to protect this pawn, at least indirectly. I like this plan. I can even play c4 here, especially if he goes bishop d6. c4 looks really good then. Hold on. Not with my bishop loose on e3, it doesn't. Maybe a5? Sorry, a4? Yeah, maybe I'm threatening a4 here. I mean, he can take, then I take. That maybe leads me down a pawn. It leads me down a pawn. Bishop d6, a4, takes. My rook is really active, but then he's got this c pawn. Okay, this is relevant here. Looking at that position, then I can go here, but then he's got knight back to b5 to defend the bishop. Maybe I don't need to do anything immediately. Maybe play bishop h3. Maybe play bishop c1, then I am threatening something like c4. But then, no, this gives him time to play rook b8. a4 is the critical line here. How am I going to protect this pawn once he brings a rook to attack it to e8? Bishop h3. Bishop h3 looks like a good way to go here. Okay, he is going for this. Let's see. I wonder if I could try bishop. Bishop f4 here. Give up on the two bishops, but it might... No, let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it so that we can double rooks by going rook f2. Okay, he's going for this. Yeah, let's bring this rook here. So I'll be able to defend. I don't know quite where my bishop wants to go yet, so I'm going to leave that open. Maybe I should have brought the other rook. But I like that this keeps the knight immobile for now. But he does have maybe f4, but f4 doesn't make any sense because now my bishop is shooting at stuff. Oh, maybe g4 was a good idea there that I missed out on. No, he can push f4. He probably is going to bring his queen rook over to e8 to attack my pawn. But if he, let's see, if he does that, yeah, I like this. I like this. I still got these ideas of c4, threatening this fork. And if the knight takes, I'll get to move my bishop away. And then if the knight should take, if pawn takes, knight takes, c4, rook takes, my rook is looking great, and it could help this pawn to advance. On the 7th rank, I mean a rook on the 7th. What more do you want out of life other than a rook on the 7th? Okay, so he'll meet bishop h6 with rook f6, in which case my pawn... Well, no, my pawn won't be toast. Well, bishop g5 is the other choice here. If bishop h6, rook f6, then I got to bring my other rook to protect. And that doesn't look all that good. I think I got g4 ideas in both of those lines. If bishop g5, then he probably just goes bishop e7. Okay, I'm going to go for this. All right. Now I've got options of c4 or maybe g4. And if f4, then I've got this, which is going to win the exchange. g4, f4, g5 wins the exchange. Thanks to my bishop protecting this. g4, the obvious shot is rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. But then I win back. Oh no, no, he hits that and he's hitting my bishop. So, okay. I don't like that one. c4 is an active alternative. And then rook e8. But he can really blockade that, and it seems like it's only a matter of time until he wins it. But that might give me time. That might give me time to play g4. Let's look at c4. And if I don't like that, I'll go for rook e8. Rook e1, sorry. c4, take, take. Threatening here. Yeah, it's feisty. It's feisty. I like it. I got to use this big pawn center and open up the board. The knight, when it lands on c4, looks good, but it's not really doing anything. And if he just takes with his rook, then c5 is going to win a piece after the exchanges. So he can't take the pawn right now. My threat is this pawn fork. And after takes, that will still be a threat. Low on time here. That 10-second increment's big, though. It's a good game. I'm happy about this. Oh, did I miss something? All right, I've got to take. And now I've got this fork, right? I don't see how he gets out of it. Gives up a piece to get out of it. I got to take. Let's play king f1 so that he doesn't take with check. So he's found a way to get two pawns for it, but I'm going to get one pawn out of the deal too. If he goes rook to e7 to try to guard that pawn, I can harass him. Or maybe I can play rook b4. Okay, very happy about this. Even if I lose that d4 pawn, I've got the two bishops to one bishop, so he'll be up. We'll be up 3 pawns for a piece then? He will, but those two bishops are going to prove a real pain for black, I think. He's going for it. So I get a rook to the 7th. Am I missing anything? This looks really good. He is guarding g7 and a7, so that's worth noting. But I am threatening... Well, not sure it's that big of a threat. But there's complications I can induce. Okay. Okay. No, I'm not going to check too much here. But this just allows me to win another pawn, does it not? I've got to look at this check. King f7. Rook there, check is a bad idea, because then I need to move my bishop. And he wins the exchange back. I think I can repeat a couple times. Let's give the check. Check again. Okay. All right, I should be able to handle this. I'm not going to grab this pawn here. Well, No, I don't want to worry about those two connected pawns while my bishop isn't coordinated with the rest of my stuff. So here, and then after king d2, I like how things look. Yeah, let's get our bishop here, and then we'll plan on playing pawn d4. Oh, I could have gone for the immediate simplification here, and I probably should have. Robotically sticking to plans. Active pieces here. How do I make this work? Maybe rook c3? No, that the rook is better on the b file. Yeah, I should have traded rooks there. That would have made my task a lot easier. Rook e3 right on the last move. Okay, I'd like to get my king more towards the center. Maybe even up to f4, if he lets me. He won't let me. Let's insist. He does have h6 here. G4 also looks interesting. I'm not sure where to put my bishop in that case. I would like for him to take on h4 and then get king f4 coming. Well, I suppose he could play f4 himself. I think I want to get my rook to the second rank. It's more mobile there. If g4, bishop e2 maybe, and I won't. Once he checks, I won't be able to get my king to f4. If bishop g2 though, check, king f4, then the rook gets in here. And my bishop has nowhere to go really. So I think I gotta go to e2, and I can have ideas of like planting the bishop here and then taking over the 7th rank with my rook. He's going for the check immediately. Which way do I go? Let's go here, keep the rook. Keep the rook out of all these squares. If he pushes g4, I'll just go bishop g2. Gaining ground on the clock. Got black in a bit of a desperate situation here. Okay. Well, what if I just put my pawn in a light square? He can't really ever get it. That simplifies things quite a bit. Let's do that. So maybe I'll get my king to f2 now, hiding behind and blockading this pass pawn of his. My bishop already blockades it, but I like to have my king there because that mostly, not so much because of the pawn. The pawn actually shields my king, but I'll be able to control entry points for the rook on both of these files if I get my king to f2. Right now I'm relying on my bishop to do that. So if rook g3, I'm just going to go king e2. Actually, maybe king e3 in that case. And if the rook comes to e7, which seems likely, okay. All right, let's do this. We're going to get to f2. That's one less way his rook can attack my weak d pawn too. If he tries c5, I think rook b5 is really good. Notice how I haven't gone after this a pawn, because then he could take over the b file, and then come the checks. And I might get that a pawn, but he might get a lot of activity in return. He might get to make stuff happen elsewhere on the board. I'm still kind of consolidating here. It seems like black has had the initiative for a while. You usually get the initiative when you're down material. Well, often. Okay, clock is more symmetrical now. Okay, I need to be cognizant. This is my light squared bishop. This pawn will not win me the game, even if I have a bishop left and black has nothing if he can get to h8. So this pawn, however, or this pawn could win me the game. Black has, I think, pretty good drawing chances here if he can trade off a couple pawns. I mean, he can even give up all of his pawns for my 3 pawns, and then, yeah, okay. Let's just get that king to f2 like we said. Now we're covering g1 as well. Let's see if he catches a tactical trick here. Oh, he caught it. Okay. So I can always plant my rook back on b3. Okay, I like the look of this. If he goes rook e4, I've got rook d3, which looks a little passive, doesn't it? But I can always get my bishop back here, or now I'm threatening bishop f5. Okay, I think I'll win this. I think I can win this f4 pawn now. I'm threatening bishop f5. I don't see anything you can do about it. And yeah, if that, I'll just go bishop f5 anyway, and I will gladly trade. I'll let him take that d pawn if it leaves him with double pawns there. I think I should be able to win that. The other alternative is takes, king takes, bishop f5, but then he has a rook here. Yeah, if he wants to trade rooks, this simplifies. He gives up a pawn, but that pawn becomes very worthless when it's doubled. Okay. Yeah, let's give up that pawn. There's no avoiding that exchange. Smart of black to keep the rooks on the board. I like the looks of rook a3 now. Okay. He's got to go king b6 to protect that pawn. And we got to go here. Oh, that maybe would have been better to go to the center. Let's go back. My king and my bishop are nice. My bishop is mostly functioning as a shield for my king, or will be in a moment. After this check, king f6, and I might be winning this pawn on h6. There's no more checks. I'm still threatening over there. Yeah, let's threaten this pawn. I don't want to get my king too far out of position, but this pawn's now, my h pawn is becoming really dangerous. Let's grab it. I'll just check the king. Almost missed that he was just going to take my rook there. What's the right move here? I think my bishop covers everything, so I'm just going to push. Let's get that rook behind the pawn. If he tries to go rook e2, I'll just play. Well, heck, I could just push. I should be winning. I'm queening now. I don't think there's a way he can stop me queening. Okay. Whew. Wow, I don't know if I've beaten someone that high rated in a long time. So, good game, G Bello. Thank you for an excellent game. Let's look at it. I know that went kind of long, so I'll try to just hit the highlights here. Okay, yeah. I mean, someday maybe I'll play this again and I'll trick someone into playing queen h4 check. It's not the end of the world for black, but white just has a huge initiative despite what it looks like for white there. I don't think queen h4 is very good. This is the first maybe non-book move. It has been played once. A game that ended as a draw. That is new, however. Yeah. Actually, it says the computer likes black here until queen h4, but it's pretty close. And I'm guessing this is pretty close all the way through the game. I'm going to run... how do I find that? There's a place you can request a computer analysis. Wow. We'll just look at what the evaluations say. Keep it quick. Yeah, that allows me to play that with tempo. Of course, maybe from black's perspective, he wanted to induce that move to make my light squares weak in the center. Let's just look at the big... Bishop f3, mistake. Why is bishop f3 a mistake? Let's turn on the computer. The computer likes knight h4. Yeah, knight f5 here. That's why. So that ultimately did happen after that repetition. Knight f5, and now you got to give up the bishop pair. And the computer really likes white now. Big center, bishop pair, more active rooks. Rook b1. Sure. This is also okay. Oh, I see. Rook b1 here, maybe to induce b6. Probably b5 would be played. But if b6, then after e6, the knight has to go back to b8. But, okay, let's try to find where, I don't know if there's a single moment where black kind of went wrong here. c4 was not the strongest move. Liked rook b to e1. Yeah, rook to e1, that makes a lot of sense. But I really wanted to make something of that b file, so c4. Right, oh, the big mistake is obviously ignoring that threat. So it likes bishop f8. That is a good way to maybe trade off the dark square bishops. And then king takes f8. Let's look at that line. This is where black could have done much better. And rook b4. That's strange. Why not this? Knight a4. And now we're getting in here. I mean, this looks good for white to me. I'm going to lose that pawn, but I've already gained it back. Black does have this nice kingside majority, and I can't do anything with this, but I've got the more active rook, and I don't see how he saves. Well, I guess, yeah. Okay. That's where Black went wrong, missing a pawn fork. So even at high levels, it comes down to those kind of tactics. Relatively high levels. Yeah, there were lots of traps here. If I put a rook here, I'm losing a bishop. Because I can't keep that bishop there. I can't defend my rook, and I can't keep the bishop there, or defend the bishop for that matter. So I just repeated a couple times and then had to trade. And it's better, I thought it was better to, this is not a good pawn to trade for that one. This gives me a pass pawn, but this gives him two connected pass pawns with his rook right in front of him. So hang on to those. And I want to keep the pawns on the board that I can, since I have winning chances here. Yeah, and it was a one game all the way through from here, and I happily did not screw it up. "10-second increment gives you a quality end game. So yeah, and I really like this pattern at the end, how honestly I could probably push here and still be winning, because there's no way for his rook to get back in time. He goes here maybe, but no, I mean, he's a rook. The bishop covers this square and this square. Let's see, what if he just brings his rook down here? I go here. Yeah, rook d3. And I'm just going to push. My bishop guards my rook. And I'm going to push and make a queen. So, but I kept it simple. Saved the rook with check and just kept pushing. Okay. Thanks for watching, folks. This was a fun re-entry into the rapid or standard time controls, where I think you can think a lot better and play a lot better chess, and it's not such a addictive sugar rush as blitz chess. So those of you trying to improve, I hope this was helpful. It's helpful for me. Stay feisty.